Something's happening to Earth.
We need to find the others.
I haven't seen some of them for centuries.
You hear that, Sprite? Family reunion.
It's about time.
It's a really interesting mix. And having 10 characters, we're a big, slightly dysfunctional family.
This is what the end of the world looks like. At least we have front row seats.
Well, you know what's never saved the planet? Your sarcasm.
Cersei, she has the power to manipulate matter, and she's had a long-running on-off relationship with Icarus.
How long were you together?
5,000 years.
Well, I guess you can call that long term.
Icarus is the loyal soldier.
Dad, that's Superman with the cape and you're shooting laser beams out of your eyes.
I don't wear a cape.
Bastards can assemble anything out of any kind of technology.
There were more deviants than you said.
Well, I'm sure that was fun for you.
It was. Athena, she's the goddess of war. She can manifest different weapons, which was very fun.
Gilgamesh, he's a protector. His specialty is a strong punch.
This is Makari. None of us have seen her for centuries.
Sprite can create illusions. She's really sarcastic, especially with Kingo.
I would say Kingo is a little self-involved.
Kingo, the movie star. I've directed some things too.
Droog. He's mind control. He stands up for what he believes in and that there shouldn't be violence.
We don't interfere in their wars. And then there is Ajax.
She's kind of the leader of the Eternals. Her power is healing.
This planet and these people have changed me.
These superheroes reflect the world we live in.
Everybody is unique and special.
I think Eternals is the most epic movie that Marvel has done. And I really, really mean that. They're really gonna see a movie unlike any they've ever seen before.
This is another hot one. Eternals is a hot topic. Yes, it is. We got a little controversy, a little this, a little that. Seems pretty interesting, but we'll get to the bottom of this on your next Hot One News on your
United Comics Universe.
A universe for fans.
From pages to pictures, we are comics.
Hello, United Comics Universe. Your dog JoninSho back at you with another Hot One News, this one regarding the Eternals. Let's get into this because it's looking a little absurd and a little interesting. Well, for those of you out there who was lucky enough to be able to see the film, you know, you've got anything you want us to know about, let us know. Okay, comicbook.com is coming at us from comicbook.com. Eternals Review Roundup. Critics are divided over the new Marvel movie. It's by Jamie Lovett. October the 25th. So this is relatively fresh. Yeah. So yeah, I'm hearing there's a lot of controversy going on with Eternals. From what I can tell, it seemed like it's a movie that's kind of it's a greater division than normal between the actual critics and the actual fans, if you know what I mean. I'm hearing more critics not so impressed, not liking it so much, and most of the fans really enjoyed it. So with your audience, you know, the audience is comprised of multiple areas, and when they make a film, they try to, you know, capture as much of the potential audience as possible. But critics, one thing about critics you have to realize, they don't really know enough about the thing they are critiquing, because, you know, they try to critique everything. So they're not as intimately involved in the Marvel universe and love the films, you know, fanatically like a lot of us fans do, like myself. So you got to kind of take their opinion with a grain of salt. But most importantly, what I found is if you want to go see a film, or in this case, Eternals, go see it. Figure it out for yourself. Definitely do not go see something or, you know, don't want to check it out or get disenchanted with it based on a critique from a critic, because a lot of times you will not find that their view matches yours. So you need to make your own decision. It's a fantastic look. Like it's a lot put into the movie, so I doubt it'd be a waste of money if nothing else. But whether it will meet your expectations, that's entirely up to you. So listen to the critics, but if you want to, but more importantly, listen to people who like you, the fans. For instance, me. And let's jump into this. See what they're saying about our Eternals movie. You know what I mean? Okay. After having its Hollywood premiere last week, reviews for Marvel Studios' Eternals hit the internet on Sunday. Early reactions seemed positive, praising the movie's unique visuals, however. Early reactions, that's usually not the critics. That's usually people who, was lucky enough to actually see the film. But some critics, but not mainly the critics. So that's more the people you can trust, the people who actually went there and saw it themselves, not the people who went there with, an agenda to critique a film, because it puts you in a different mindset, a more technical breakdown of it instead of an actual, like, what you feel in your heart. Sometimes they get a little too much in their head and they can't really enjoy the film or understand, like, its worth. You know what I mean? That's why I say you got to take critique with a grain of salt. You got to filter that thing out and see what actually is relevant to you personally. Early reactions seem positive, praising the movie's unique visuals. However, the film, directed by Academy Award winner Chloe Zhao, may go down as one of the most divisive installments of the Marvel Cinematic Universe. The film introduces almost a dozen new characters into the MCU, and based on reviews, at times struggles to flesh them all out. Others say that Zhao's distinctive, naturalistic style is at odds with the bombastic tone of the MCU. Critics varying describes Eternal's standalone nature, not touching on much else from the MCU and strength of or weakness. Well, it inspires me to say that just seeing that they're expecting Eternals to be like the other MCU films. If I recall, Kevin Feige said it won't be like the other MCU films, which is fine. You got to realize we're looking at an entire universe here. You can't expect every film to have the same style or theme to it. It don't make sense. If that's the case, it would slow down the process, and they would always have the same writers and always the same directors. But it's good to have a mix, It's good to be diverse. Critics varying describe Eternal's standalone nature, not touching on much else from the MCU. Well, think about it. It's kind of a beginning, like, of the MCU film when you think about it. So yeah, it's bringing in things that we didn't know about but had already happened in the MCU. So it don't have to touch too much on what's already there. It has to let you know what you should have known, and then you connect it together. Rotten Tomatoes has Eternals as a 71% fresh rating at the time of writing, though the aggregator hasn't published a critical consensus yet. We've gathered up some reviews from critics to give you a sense of what they're saying. Keep reading to see for yourself. Zhao directs Eternals from a screenplay she co-wrote with Patrick Burley, Ryan Firpo, and Kaz Firpo. The film stars Gemma Chan, Richard Madden, Kumail Nanjiani, Leah McHugh, Brian Tyree Henry, Lauren Ridloff, Barry Keoghan, Don Lee, Harish Patel, Kit Harington, Salma Hayek, and Angelina Jolie. What do you think of the reviews for Eternals? Let us know in the comments. Yeah, let us know in the comments. And it does come out November the 5th. Eternals will likely be one of the more divisive films in the MCU. The strong characters and visuals will be, the visuals are stunning. I'd go see it if nothing else for that. Be enough for some fans to consider one of the best of the franchise, while others will find it's messy plot, extended runtime, and a hard pill to swallow. No matter how you feel about Eternals, there's no denying Phase 4 is off to an exciting start. I agree with that. Jamie Girock, comicbook.com, said that. The Eternals on-screen struggle, pitting them against the whims of a grimly authoritarian overlord, too precisely mirrors their relationship to the Disney Marvel corporate apparatus. Wow, did they just do that? That created them, and that will exploit them until they have exhausted their potential. What initially seemed fresh and invigorating devolves into something you've seen countless times before. The fate of the world hinges on an epic burst of teamwork. As always, unity is power, as well as one character's perfunctory realization of long suppressed potential. Longtime friends betray and forgive each other, and eyes and hands shoot bolts of gilded lightning. A rush of end credits, cliffhangers, elicits gasps from the audience, and the final title card, Eternals Will Return, starts to sound like a promise than a threat. You walk out into the depressing realization that you've just seen one of the more interesting movies Marvel will ever make, and hopefully the latest interesting one Chloe Zhao will ever make. Justin Chang, the Los Angeles Times. Okay, after so many Marvel movies that give lip service to the thornier ramification of its hero narratives, there's an earnestness to the operatic stakes in Eternals that someone helps fuse what's physically spectacular and philosophical about it. That it's played out too by a cast that looks like our world only burnishes what Zhao is trying to pull off from inside a trope-laden franchise. Robert Abel, or Abeli, from The Wrap, IndieWire. Yes, all of these are superhero tropes writ large, and comic book fans might see them as features instead of bugs, but can't these movies do anything else? Is it too much to ask for most dominant kind of cinema on the planet to shake things up and challenge itself in a more significant way? I don't agree with that. It is a lot more substance to these Marvel movies than they pretend that it doesn't have. A movie is a movie. It's good, you like it, whatever. I don't agree with some of the things they say. I think they just, jealous of the popularity of this, or it doesn't fit in their box. So it's hard for them to accept. You know how some people are, they don't like change. But everything has its time. It waxes and wanes, things come and go. So really just, go after what you like and ignore what you don't. But all things come, all things go. This is from USA Today. Utilizing Zhao's penchant of naturalistic environments, Eternals look unlike any other Marvel movie and is perhaps the most welcoming for MCU neophytes in forever. Okay, sounds good. There's many references to Superman, yes, the rival DC hero, as there are to Thor, and it helps to cast 10 ridiculously attractive people as characters even comic book fans deem obscure. That's Brian Truitt of USA Today. BBC, British Broadcasting. Eternals is adapted from a series of far-out 1970s comics by the great Jack Kirby, the King, and traces remain for his visionary design, but Zhao and her 3 co-writers have weighed it down with lots of rudimentary dialogue, a daft plan if we can assemble device X and attach it to device Y, then we can defeat enemy Z, and a standard CGI heavy showdown to round things off. The results aren't terrible, they're definitely watchable, but considering that this sci-fi saga is directed by Zhao and that its story spans the creation of the universe and the fate of the planet, it would have been reasonable to expect it to prompt slack-jawed wonder rather than the grudging appreciation of an efficient, workmanlike job. Eternals may not be the worst might be the worst of the Marvel movies, but it's undoubtedly the most disappointing. Wow. That's from Nicholas Barber, BBC.com. And here we go from The Observer. This is a film that acts on a grand scale, questions we grapple with every day. How do we navigate and understand difference? Why do we value humanity so much when humans often do not seem to value each other? That's because you're paying attention to the wrong humans. But I digress. Oliver Jones, The Observer. The Daily Telegraph. So why the urge to get buff in the first place? The answer is, and the problem with Eternals in miniature is constantly engaged in a kind of grit-toothed authenticity theater, going out of its way to show you it's doing all the things proper cinema does, even though none of them bring an discernible benefit whatsoever to the film at hand. Wow. Some of these reviews is woo, painful. Robbie Collin, The Daily Telegraph. CNN. Granted, the beauty of Marvel's interlocking universe is that by playing the long game, the pieces build up upon each other so that appraisal might change as the next phase comes fully into shape. Eternal certainly doesn't lack for ambition, but for now, Marvel, emboldened by its success, has reached for the stars without quite getting there. Oh wow. Brian Lowry, CNN. The Guardian. This is from The Guardian. That's the problem. There's just too much going on. It's all headed towards yet another race against time to stop the really bad thing happening climax. It's not exactly boring, there's always something new to behold, but nor is it particularly exciting, and it lacks the breezy wit of Marvel's best heroes. Okay, that don't sound good if the writing ain't got the good wit in there. But, you know, we have to see for ourselves, but you can't, it's almost like they want to see something new, but it's impossible to see anything new because everything that you do has already been done. That's what people don't get. The only thing you can do is do what has already been done slightly different, maybe in a more innovative way or project it in a way that hasn't been seen before, but to actually create and do something totally different in the film genre period, it's extremely hard to do because so many things have already been done. The main thing to concern yourself with is if you like what you're seeing, is it good or not? Don't have a pre-box that you're in, don't have a pre-depiction of what you want to be there. You have to leave your mind open, let yourself feel it, see how you feel, then make your decision. If you got preconceptions, then you're going to be blinded by what you already see because you now have a filter that is keeping you from seeing anything other than what you're looking for. You see what I mean? Okay, this was what? The Guardian? That's the problem. There's just too much going on. It's all headed towards yet another race against time. Okay, yeah, we got that. Where are we? But nor is it particularly exciting, and it lacks the breezy wit of Marvel's best movies. One of the strengths of the MCU to date is how it has taken time to define each character individually and lay out the grand narratives over successful movies. I know they didn't expect all these new characters to be introduced and also you understand them completely, they're you know, the way they truly are in one movie. That would be absurd. Individually and lay out the grand narratives over successful movies, building a sense of momentum. Here it's all thrown us at once. It's like coming into Avengers Endgame cold without having seen any of the preceding installments. Most mortals will simply find it too much. Bigger isn't always better. Steve Rose, The Guardian. Okay, so it sounds like they ultimately, especially with that last line, and other things that they said too, they felt it was overwhelming. It was like too much hit them at one time. That sometimes that can be a problem. But I don't know. We'll definitely have to see for ourselves. Okay. Well, that are the reviews. Definitely some controversy. A little people on this side of the lane and some people on the other side. But ultimately, I think it's going to be a good movie. That's my final opinion. I think it's going to be very, very good and going to introduce a lot of things that we need to know for the future of the Marvel films. It's going to have great action, and I hear that it has a lot of good drama in it. But it also has some good action too. So it's going to be primarily on the drama side, but it is going to have some great action. Well, that's what I want to know, really. I want to know the story of the Eternals because it's you know, it's the what word I want to use for that, I'm not sure. But anyway, it came before everything else. So that may give more volume to what we already know, depending on, you know, what we learn. However, as always, it's up to us. I'm going to go ahead and end this video now because I could talk about this for a little while longer, and I don't really want to extend the video longer than it's already been. It's longer than normal. But if you like what we're doing, let us know down below. If you feel like it's fine if I go ahead and continue a little longer, yeah, just let us know. But I didn't want to go too far. And thanks for coming out, United Comics Universe. We appreciate you. For fans, by fans, as always. And until then, I'll be hunting around, sniffing around, finding out what we need next. And I will catch you again. We are Comic, baby. JoninSho out.
Copyright disclaimer. Citation of articles and authors in this report does not imply ownership. Works and images presented here fall under Fair Use Section 107 and are used for commentary on globally significant newsworthy events. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act, 1976, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Community Guidelines Disclaimer. The points of view and purpose of this video is not to bully or harass anyone, but rather share that opinion and thoughts with other like-minded individuals curious about the subject.